Nu är vi äntligen tillbaka efter lite kaffe och då blir det Inhalation Sciences. Varsågod.
My presentation today will include a company overview, followed by our addressable market, and a number of additional triggers in terms of the clinical work that we performed a couple of years ago, as well as the joint FDA study that is ongoing. Last but not least, our company's growth outlooks for the year to come. But how this all started, it was in the US where our founder and Chief Scientific Officer, Mr. Per Gjerde, he was working in Lovelace Respiratory Research in the US and really was looking for a precise system in order to analyze how dust particles behave in the human lung. And he couldn't find any precise system, so he decided to move back to Sweden and found the company in collaboration with Karolinska Institutet in 2005. And the technology was validated with and through a number of industrial partners between 2006 and 2013. And in 2014, the very first product was launched, Precise Inhale. We have a total mix of customers, anything from blue chip pharma companies such as Chiesi in Italy, AstraZeneca. We have academic customers such as King's College of London, Karolinska Institutet, as well as the environment research centers such as Fraunhofer and Svetox, which is now RISE. And that list is growing. We introduced the company into stock exchange in 2017 with the ticker name ESOP, and that is where we are at the moment. Our vision is to become an industrial gold standard for inhalation R&D. But what do we do? Our platform technology addresses drug discovery and preclinical studies for inhalable drugs. We do that with our main system, which is called Precise Inhale. And it is a plug-and-play instrument with both hardware and software. And we have different add-on modules in terms of different kind of studies. Is it in vitro studies for cell culture studies? And we have animal studies, in vivo studies, as well as ex vivo studies, which is isolated perfused lung, IPL. And we perform all of those studies in our facilities in Huddinge in Sweden. What is our core value proposition? And that is something that is extremely important to explain and understand. What do? We are de-risking the failures of clinical trials by providing high-end data already in a preclinical phase. So with our technology, you will know which substances, which formulations, which APIs will work well in a clinical setting and which ones doesn't work well. So then you continue with the ones that you know it work well in the clinical setting, already at the preclinical stage. How do we do that? We have a plug-and-play aerosol switchboard, as we call it, and it enables in vitro, in vivo correlation, which is a golden goal for any inhalation studies, in able to go through all the way from in vitro to in vivo. As well as by using the same platform technology, we are minimizing translational errors because we are using Precise Inhale throughout the whole studies. And if you compare to other studies or other competitors, they change the platforms, thus there is a risk that you lose data. So that is one. And we are also enabling regional targeting. It's a definitely goal to be able to target different parts of the lungs. And we have studies that we have shown that we are enabling that for both preclinical and clinical settings. Last but not least, it's not only about where, it's also how much. It's about the control, it's about dosage. How much of the substance you want to target in different parts of the lungs. And that is something we're also enabling what is called size fractionated aerosols. All these three together, we know and we have data that we can provide that data already in a preclinical setting to weed out the bad apples already in a preclinical stage and move on with the ones that are successful. And that is by far our core value proposition. In terms of the whole drug and device development value chain, it's everything from discovery, preclinical, clinical, and commercial. We are focusing on preclinical. So we are not in the clinical world. We are in preclinical stage. We are having lead optimization. We have in vitro studies. We have in vivo studies and formulation developments. So that is our core focus. We have also done a phase 1 feasibility study that we performed a couple of years ago. And I will touch base that in the coming slides. But again, our definitive main focus is the preclinical phase. In terms of commercial legs, we have two. We have either products that we are selling or leasing and to their customers. And it's mainly to big pharma companies that they want to have their own products. And that historically been the main part of our sales. And we have IRS services, Inhalation Research Services. It's in-house CRO work. We receive substances and formulations from customers. We perform the data in-house, and we provide them data. And historically, we have been focusing on product sales, but in 2022, we decided to change the strategy to be more focusing on sales of services, and we could see that the split of the revenue changed pretty drastically from 18% of the revenue in 2021 to 58% in 2022. And that is in line with our expectations, and that is something that we will continue to build on for years to come. Our addressable markets, we have done a number of market research about what is our market and how much is it worth. In the preclinical world, there are different steps, anything from toxicology, safety, bioanalysis, DMPK, as well as characterization. We are not covering everything. If we were about to cover everything for both in vitro and in vivo, our estimation is that the market value is about 1.2 billion euro. But we are covering only bioanalysis, which is outsourced by a third party, the MPK and characterization. And that market itself, it's about 40% of total market value, which is 480 million euro. That is the existing market with our existing products. If we look what we have in terms of annual revenue, we published our 2022 numbers just a couple of weeks ago, and we had a revenue of 12 million SEK, and we had the sales of 17 million SEK. So you can just imagine how much of the potential we have in a market with a total of 480 million euro with our existing services and products in our existing market. So there is a huge potential that we still can gain in terms of market share. We have also been talking with a number of customers, both existing and potential customers, about the unmet need to verify if, to see if what we are doing is in line with what their expectation and their need is or not. And luckily enough, we have received confirmation that 4 of the mentioned needs are something that we are already offering. Number 1, the ability to calibrate optimal particle size. Again, dosage, control. If you don't have it, then most likely your clinical study will fail. Something that we know and we have data that we can deliver. Number 2, the regional targeting, to be able to target different parts of the lung. Something that we have data, both preclinical and clinical, that we can deliver. Next step is the consistency, the minimizing translational errors. Using the same platform technology throughout both in vitro and in vivo enables to minimize the translational risk. Last but not least, the lack of correlation between in vitro and in vivo. Again, using the same precise inhale throughout the whole studies will enable you to increase the correlation between in vitro and in vivo. And that is, again, a golden goal for any inhalation researchers. In terms of market potential and its growth, we know that the service side on the preclinical, drug preclinical services will be increasing in average around 8% year over year for years to come. We also have estimation that the outsourced portion of it is going even higher, with 11% for each year. And the reasons for outsourcing is simple. Number one, the biopharma companies, the rationale behind outsourcing is that they will have access to specialized capabilities and capacities, which is much more expensive to have in-house. The second one is very important to get it right from the beginning, to be successful already at the preclinical stage. And then you have a lot of significant cost saving later on. Last but not least, many CROs, many smaller companies such as Inhalation Sciences, they have advanced IT and lab management that will make and improve the preclinical studies. Thus, it makes it much more attractive to outsource the services to the companies instead of having them in-house. On top of the potential and the growth opportunities, we have also done a clinical study to just show the proof of concept. Even though we are focusing on preclinical studies, the technology could be also applied to clinical studies and clinical work. We did that in late 2021 with 12 healthy volunteers here in Sweden. And the end points of the studies were three. Number one, to show precise inhale being superior than commercial inhaler in the market, the ability to control the dosage with regional targeting, as well as having no major adverse effects. And all of these three endpoints were checked. We presented the data late last year, and the full study will be published before summer this year. If we apply in the clinical market, the market potential will be at least 4 times higher. That is our estimation. So there is a huge upside in the company as well in terms of clinical markets. Another very interesting aspect is our collaboration with FDA. In 2022, we started to work together with FDA because there is no standard dissolution method in the market. And FDA and other regular bodies, they are interested to have some kind of a standardized dissolution methods. Thus, we have started this collaboration in order to show the differences between before and after using the Solvit, to show the superiority about what we can do with the Solvit. It's a 2-year study that we are performing with a big number of formulations, and we hope to be able to publish the data by end of 2024. And it's supported and co-financed by FDA with a total of $480,000. If we have positive data, that could be definitely a game changer for the company, because we have then a FDA validated study and hopefully a FDA recommended solution, basically. The company's growth outlook, as I mentioned in my previous slides, we had focused on product sales on an annual basis, but we made this change of strategy in 2022, where we shifted the focus to sell more of our services, inhalation research services. Reason being, because there is a larger customer base, there are many more customers, CRO companies or pharma companies, they are interested in data. They are not necessarily interested to own the products and services and CapEx. They want to have data. We know we can deliver good data. Number 2 is the shorter sales cycles. When we used to promote the product sales, it could take anything between 1 to 2 years. The sales of services is anything between 3 to 6 months. So it's much shorter sales cycle. A third aspect is the relative ease of product portfolio expansion. If we see services that we could offer the customers even better, then we can easily add that, either have it in-house or outsource it to a third party, which we are doing with our bioanalysis. Last but not least, we have much better margins on services than product sales. To summarize where we come from, where we are, and where we're about to go, historically we have been focusing on product sales, and research services, and we have maintained the product sales. Currently, as I mentioned, we have increased focus on our IRS, Inhalation Research Services, because it will take us much faster to gain market share. And our future plan is to become a go-to partner and have a full shop of inhalation R&D to our customers, that we can increase the market share much, much higher. And that is pretty much the presentation I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Manoush. So maybe we should start there with the service model that you're implementing. How far have you come? How much is service sales now?
During 2022, that we reviewed the total, it's 85% of our total sales is coming from IRS, from services. So we see a big change of split between services and products, and that is where we want to be. So we will continue to build on that momentum for 2023 and coming years.
So you've already done the shift?
Yes.
Okay. And then I was really interested in this FDA study. It's going to be finished in the end of 2024 with the Solvit. What happens then? If the study is positive, is it like you just go, or do you need a year more for?
That's a good question that we ask ourselves and FDA. It all depends on, obviously, on the outcome. But given its positive outcome, again, that could be a game changer for a company, because any companies that would like to do FDA studies for this solution, they will need to go through us, because we already have a study for 2 years. Instead of themselves designing, having technology to do that, we have IP, we have all the aspects of it. So that could be definitely a game changer. And in the best of the worlds, it could be FDA recommended solution. So that is, we are really looking forward to have that finalized.
And looking at competition, is there any competition in this?
Well, the short answer is no. There is no direct competitor to us. The closest ones that are our competitors is for the animal studies, where companies who offer inhalation towers, where they put 20 or 30 different animals to the same tower and inhaling them at the same time. Those are our direct competitors for animal studies. We have a number of advantages compared to them. Number one, we are using much less of substance for each study, and there is a cost saving by far with for the industry. Number two, we are using much fewer animals. In average, we are using 3 animals per study per substance, compared to, again, 20 or 30 different animals at the same time. And that is in line with the 3R in our inhalation word, reduce, refine, and replace, to use much less animals. We are in line with that too. Last but not least, and the most important part, that we know that our data is much more precise than what the alternative is. So that is our unique selling points.
I couldn't fully concentrate. I was thinking of this tower of chickens.
With well, that is mostly it's rats or mouses. It's not chickens.
A tower of mouses. Oh,
Yes.
Mice. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So what can you tell us now about your 2023, the backlog, the pipeline? How does it look?
Yes, we have increase on both sales, backlog, and backlog's definition is pretty much what we have signed in terms of orders but not yet shipped. They have all been increasing, and we did see the shift when we focused more on sales of services, and that is what we will definitely be continuing doing to gain market share. That is focus number 1, 2, 3, sell more of what we have, and expand the portfolio of services when needed. Again, we are having a revenue of 12 million SEK, and we have a potential of 480 million euro. So there is much more we could do in the existing market. When and if there are any collaborations with partners, we are having discussions with a number of them as well, and to see how we can add value into our portfolio.
So today, how do you do that when you sell?
We either sell through distributors or direct. Mostly is direct sales. When we talk to potential customers, we have different lead generation legs that qualify the customers to us, and we receive a number of 20, 30 different leads on a weekly basis that we work with, and then our work is to convert them to customers and users, and mainly is a number of service and studies that we sign. We have a number of recurring customers that, based on the value of the data that they receive and they see, they are signing a long-term contract with us. And one of the comments that we received not very long time ago, that's one of our biggest customers said, we didn't know that this data could be possible. So that's, again, reconfirms that we are on the right path and to continue to build that.
Should we be worried that everyone really liked this new model, so you had a bump in sales just because you got them in?
Well, that's not a problem. If we see that momentum continuing, we will be definitely looking into how we can increase in terms of resources. We have already added a second dissolve with in vitro model in our labs in order to be keeping up with the demand. And that is where we want to, if any investment, that is going to be to invest in the IRS and either in staff or products. And that's going to be a good problem that we will looking forward.
I was meaning, you had a push into because of the new model, and now it's going to be slower.
Well,
you're not worried about that?
We are not worried about it.
No.
Maybe I was a bit inattentive, but on one of your slides, I think you mentioned a market share of 15% in your sectors. Is that correct?
Well,
and if so, someone else has or have 85%. What is that?
It's the technology which is out there. I mentioned the inhalation towers that are out there, and in lack of additional instruments and solutions, that has been the standard. But we do know that in our world, what we call standard deviation, the facts, what the instruments can deliver versus the reference, which is human, the standard deviation from the existing technology is more than 50%. And we know by fact, with data that we have produced, our standard deviation between our data and human data is less than 10%. So it's about creating the awareness. Many customers, they don't know of us. They think that's the standard to use what is available. And that is, again, our challenge to gain more market share to come over the 15% market share that we have.
And the 85%, are those mostly in-house? Or are there other companies of your type less successful in your eyes that have those 85%?
No, it is mostly in-house. That's what we see in terms of competition. And again, our biggest challenge is we have been a company, R&D company for many, many years. Now we want to take this small R&D company to a commercial company. And it has its opportunities and its challenges to sell what we have, build on that, and gain more market share. And that is exactly what we are doing in terms of increasing focus on service.
Is it difficult to convince larger companies to get rid of their in-house capabilities for your services?
Well, I wouldn't say it's difficult. I would say it takes time. Because, again, they think this is standard. That is how it should be. We have a big number of pharma companies that they have started doing a number of studies with us when, if they see the results and how that differs from the internal data, they have decided to, after 2-3 studies, purchase the instrument themselves because they are running these studies on a weekly basis. They need to send this data to FDA on a weekly, monthly basis. And now they have purchased those instruments. Our challenge has been that when they have purchased the instrument, we lose that contact. And we don't want to do that. We want to continue to build on that. We want to gain the market share by selling the services. So that is why the shift of focus on services rather than product sales. We are still having the products as maintaining them, but not necessarily promoting them as a first leg, but we want to have them coming back to us in terms of purchasing the services.
How many systems have you sold? How many?
Throughout the years, we have sold and placed around 20 instruments, but I would say during 2022, based on strategic focus that we have purposely not sold any instruments. We have increased double digits by selling the services, and that is where we want to be and gain the market share and margins, basically.
Interesting. We wish you very good luck.
Thank you.